This episode is brought to you by Kitsch. People say you turn 30 and you almost like it's starting a new decade. It's like when you turn 20, you feel young again. You're like, oh, I have all my 30s. But it's like that time period between 25 and 30 where you're like, ah!
Yep. And
we're in the deep of it right now.
Exactly what we're going to talk about in this episode, guys.
Yeah.
There are so many pressures as you near 30, and we're going to break them down for you, and we're going to give you our perspective now that Niki and I both are out of our long-term relationships and nearing 30.
Tea! Hey guys, I'm Niki.
And I'm Gabi.
And we're bringing you guys another Opposite Twins podcast, and we're really excited about this one.
So, Niki and I have been talking so much this week about this topic, about how we're approaching our 30s and how there's so many different pressures in every different aspect of life.
We are 3 years away from 30, flirty, and thriving.
That is so crazy. I feel
So
like when I
weird.
watch 13 going on 30, I want it to be 13
I want to be 30,
so bad.
30, flirty, and thriving.
And now we're going to be 30 in 3 years. How does it feel?
Okay. So it feels like I still can be friends with like people that are in their early 20s, and I have that like youth to me still.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I feel like that is accurate. I feel like I
think
have
you
wisdom.
just said like 6 times.
Oh, that's a bad habit. It's literally.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
But I feel like when I was 18, I used to say I feel like I'm 25.
Yeah. No, definitely. And honestly, I feel like we were forced to grow up at such a young age. So I feel like I felt 30 since I was 25, which is why I felt like marriage was the next step and everything. But now that we're actually approaching 30, we're
talking like it's tomorrow, but
we're approaching 30 in 3 years. But now that we're actually approaching 30, like closer to 30 than 25, it feels more comforting knowing that all of our friends are our age and going through it too. But also it feels more grounding and comforting because things are easier than when we were 25 feeling 30. But at the same time, certain things got a little more difficult, such as the pressures.
Yeah, I actually just made a video on my channel about how everything's changing and how I'm in a new chapter right now. And a lot of people commented, there's actually a top comment about the over 25 blues. And it's like that time period after 25 and before 30 where everyone's pressuring you to have this timeline accomplished. And you're also subconsciously comparing yourself. So I remember when our channel started taking off when we were like 19, 20. And I used to like see the older YouTubers. And I remember, and I'm going to be honest, I think I was a little bit of an asshole when I was like 20, honestly.
Aren't we all?
And I think like I had this cockiness over my youth. I was like, I'm young and like they're old. And like, I don't know why I did that, but I know now like people that are like 19, 20 look at us and like, well, they're old. Well, they're old. And it's like, now that we're like on the other side of it, I know that people are thinking that. And I never thought I would be able to be like sitting here having this conversation and not feeling insecure about it. But I think you hit a point. And I used to like wonder, oh my God, I'm like, what do they feel like turning 30? Like that sucks. I used to think that sucks. And now I'm like, oh, once you like hit a point, you're like, it just doesn't, I don't know, I guess you don't give a fuck.
Honestly,
I don't know.
I think it's just maturing. It doesn't bother you as much as if you were 20 and someone said you were old. You know, I feel like it felt different than actually being mentally mature and someone calling you old, because it's like there's worse problems, there's worse things that could happen than being called old. But at the same time, I feel like I'm taking so much pride in my maturity now. I feel like I look down at the girl who I was when I was 23, 24. I look at her decisions and I look at what she used to post and I would say, woof, you know? And
Yeah.
I feel like maybe some of these people who are shaming us for being old, I think one day when they are old like us, they're going to look at their stuff and be like, what was I
hate
thinking?
to say it, but it's kind of inevitable. So if like your confidence comes from your youth or your branding comes from how old you are, like I see like everyone with like their Instagram bios, like 19 or like living alone at like 17, bought a house. It's like, I just feel like I'm glad we never branded our age.
Yeah.
And I think that like, I held on to that. It made me feel good at the time. And now I realized, oh, like, thank God I didn't hold on to it too tight, because to look at someone for their age, just like it doesn't make sense. But for some reason, everyone that's young does it. It doesn't make sense, but we all did it and we all do it.
I know. I used to, when I was really young, I used to love to rub the whole young and rich thing on my vlogs.
Yeah.
Like, I look back at like my old content and I'm like, one, I was not nearly as rich as I was trying to convince people I was. And two, it was just so immature of me to like try and brand that, because now that I'm growing up and maturing, I wasn't seeing that stuff. I'm like, that was not considerate at all. It was very vain.
I also think
and immature.
sometimes like throwing age, like when people are like moving into a penthouse at 19 on YouTube, those titles, like it's great. But I think sometimes like if I was a 19-year-old watching that would hurt me kind of. Yeah. I think that social media is this comparison game. And I think when people throw numbers with their accomplishments, like I'm only 18 and I'm doing this, I'm only 20 and I'm buying a house, I'm only this. It's like, what are you trying to say? Like that's great, but it also like majority of the world can't do that. So it's like, when you put an age with an accomplishment, it makes other people think, well, I'm this age, why don't I do that?
Yep. I have a lot of friends that are our age right now that are like, oh, I guess the rest of my life is doomed because I'm not doing what I want to do and I'm this age. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I know and have seen so many people earn their lives when they're in the middle of their 30s, middle age. Like it doesn't stop at a certain number. And I feel like it's very traditional and old fashioned to look at the lifespan of a human and be like, oh, 20 to 30, they need to know what they're doing. They need to know who they're doing, who they're marrying, and they need to know when they're going to have babies and when they're going to buy a house.
So that honestly is a great transition into the other thought I wanted to bring up, which is the whole old-fashioned timeline versus the 2020s timeline. I think that it's shifting, and it has a lot of us young millennials and Gen Zers confused as fuck, because our parents were a blueprint, and for some reason our generation doesn't want to live that way, but that generation is putting pressure on us and we feel crazy. And it's this whole confusion. And I think it's a generational thing just because of the rise of the internet in the year 2000. I think in the last 20 years, our generation has been just molded completely different because of the awareness we have from the internet. And I think we're woke to so many things and lifestyles, sexualities, ways to live. And I think that generation is just like, what are you doing? And it's creating a lot of mental health problems on people that are in their 20s right now, because we are in our 20s. When the kids that were born in 2000 or above, or even in the 90s, that generation that raised us is so confused. They don't know what we're doing. And they are worried for us. So it's not coming from a bad place, but they're actually putting pressure on everyone that's in their 20s right now.
Actually, I was just with mom and dad this weekend, and the conversation of babies came up. And I said, if you're asking me now if I would be ready in the next 6 years to be a mom and have a baby, I would say no. And mom was very understanding, but dad was like, you don't know who you're going to be in 5 years. Like, he was kind of just like, telling me I'll be a different person. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who you're going to fall in love with. And I'm like, no, but I know who I am. And I'm so thankful that I get to make decisions for myself. I don't think I will be ready in 5 years. And that is okay. If that clock is ticking, then so be it. Luckily, we live in a day and age where we get to make decisions, and, there are certain things that can be done if you really want to have a baby.
It's not just mom and dad, though. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up. With the rise of the internet and the generational gap and the difference in our all beliefs, there's also the internet comments of people that are our age that have the old-fashioned mindset that are shaming people in the comments. And I think I've seen it even on these podcast episodes. I've even seen it on our vlogs where there's people that are our age that live like our parents did, that are commenting, saying these girls are a hot mess. These girls, you know what? These girls, they're never going to get it together. It's like, okay,
someone commented on one of my vlogs recently. It was like just shopping for fall and decorating for fall. And someone commented and was like, to think she was about to get married, she went from that to this.
I'm promoting a song right now about partying and I'm embracing my sexuality in it. And I made a TikTok where I'm kissing girls. It's the music video teaser. And there were people in the comments shaming my last relationship, saying like, he like he deserves better. Just like shit like that.
People swear my ex is the angel in our scenario, and I
Gabi,
know I
like,
take things with me to the grave, and I know that one day when I cross over, God's gonna be like, you handled that really well, because
the thing is like people are so judgmental.
Yeah.
They're so judgmental where it's like, I remember when Miley Cyrus kind of went through her breakup and then divorce, and she put out like all her crazy, awesome partying independent songs like Mother's Daughter and Midnight Sky, and there was another one, We Can't Stop.
Why
And
is it sorry, I
the
cut you off.
the world attacked her for being free and independent. The world, remember, everyone, even our college professors were like, Miley Cyrus just always got brought up, and like that generation just shamed the shit out of her.
Why is it always the ones that leave? Why is it always them that were villainized? Why is it always like that?
But there's also a broken side to that side too. But like, it's easier to feel bad for the one that's being left. But that's a separate episode.
But yeah,
to get back on track, what I'm just trying to say is like,
we were shamed to be messes.
People, I think we tried so hard to keep it together as young adults that now that we're pushing 30, we don't give a fuck anymore because we realize we just want to be happy.
Yeah. Honestly, like, and I'm just speaking from the other perspective, Niki. The grass isn't always greener. I know you've never been engaged before. You've never planned a wedding. And a lot of people would have continued to go through what I was going through for the shame, the embarrassment, the guilt, and add a whole audience on top of family and friends. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, like I'm not trying to like, what's the word? Gas myself up for what I did, because at the end of the day, like, it does eat me alive almost every day, and I think about it every day. But what I'm trying to say is, when I thought I had my life planned out, when I thought I knew who I was going to have babies with, when I thought like I was going to have the veil, the dress, the ceremony, I felt darker than I do now, because I felt like, oh my God, I know what the rest of my life is going to look like.
So you had the wedding, but I had the house.
Yeah.
We both had these big monumental things that ultimately led to where we are right now. And this house, even though it wasn't planning a wedding, I was building it with a person. And it still breaks my heart that he's not a part of this anymore. Like, it literally like breaks my heart. But I think when you make these big decisions, like say I do, or build a house with someone, it makes you actually envision what that next chapter is going to look like. And it actually puts you in the fast lane of your awareness and your clarity. And I think that I wouldn't have gotten here if I didn't commit to this house. And I don't think you would have gotten here if you didn't say I do. So we can't shame ourselves. And no one that's ever in that situation should ever shame yourself. Like, there is embarrassment that comes with being older and making these bizarre decisions that seem bizarre to other people. There is embarrassment, and embarrassment is ego. Who gives a shit?
Honestly, like, I was walking around our hometown with one of my friends, and I was like, I feel like so embarrassed to be walking around right now, because last time I was walking around here during this like event in our hometown, I was walking around with my fiance and our new puppy, and now I'm walking around without my ring on, and I feel like the whole, like, all of our hometown is like, she walked away from an engagement, like, shame on her.
Like, people don't expect you to be engaged in a city, but in this, it's a small town thing where we love being here. We love home. It's comfy, it's cozy, but we also feel like we don't fit in with, because people in small towns are very traditional. Like, you,
and not to shame anybody who's getting married, because that is a beautiful thing. And I'm like, literally, I'm so happy for you. I'm not shitting on anyone who's getting married, because it was a very exciting process, but I just wasn't ready. And I don't even know if I'll ever be ready. But at the same time, it is so exciting and beautiful. And to anybody who is out there and engaged, anybody who's out there engaged or is going through the life process that Niki and I aren't going through right now, just so you know, we're not shaming you by any means. And I think I'm very happy for you, and I think that's beautiful that you know what you want.
I actually find myself, like, even though we're empowered right now and we're, you know, sounding really confident, I want to humanize that sometimes, like, I wouldn't say jealousy, but sometimes there are moments where I'm looking at people genuinely happy, and I'm looking at their wedding photos, and I'm not looking at the dress or the wedding. I'm zooming in on their faces. I want to know how peace and love and happiness all together looks on someone's face. Because I've been,
oh my God, I'm the same way.
I've been in love, but I've also been miserable at the same time and had a ton of anxiety. What does it look like to be in love and at peace? And I think that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm putting my life in a really weird spot to make sure I have that.
But just so you know, Niki, getting married is like a wonderful thing, but just because you're engaged or just because you're married doesn't mean the relationship's at peace.
And that's something.
Like sometimes you have to go through the motions because there's bills, there's deposits, there's.
Well, yeah,
you know.
I've been having conversations with some of our friends that are going through hard things right now. And I just want to say, like, I'm that friend that's not going to judge you if you're staying. And I'm not going to judge you if you leave. I'm not going to judge you. I know what it's like to be in love and complain about a relationship over and over and not change it. And I felt my friends getting tired of me complaining, and I felt them judging me for staying. But you know what? Like, life is hard, and sometimes people choose to stay because that really is what's better for them. So listen, like, we're not going to judge your decisions. All I just want to say is your 20s are fucking hard. Your 30s, beginning of your 30s probably are just as hard. And there should just be no judgment, and there shouldn't be an age associated with where you're at. And I think if we all just have an understanding that it only gets harder the older you get, that we should just all have grace for each other. Like, maybe marriage really is the best thing for a couple, and maybe it's really not. But we can't judge any of it.
Maybe not even just for a couple, just you as an individual. What serves you and your goals and your life purpose the best? Niki and I are friends with a middle-aged woman who was hanging out with us having a wine night last night. My hairstylist is in her 50s, and they actually were both at my house at the same time. My one friend does my Botox, the other one does my extensions, and they were over giving me a makeover last week, and we were all having a conversation.
I love friends that are older.
Same.
They don't give a fuck.
It was very
They do not give a fuck.
It was very insightful because they're both single and in their like middle age.
Best kind of friend to have.
And they're talking about this guy they're dating who has money.
Love it.
All they want to do is work and hustle. They're not looking for romance. They're happy. They just want to go on vacations. They want designer bags. And I'm like, okay, like they make me feel so empowered because they don't need nobody. And they have given me the best advice that I could ever earn or receive at this age after everything I went through. And just speaking to them about this topic really, really made me feel not alone. And it gave me like hope because there's these two women right here so happily working, loving what they do, loving their craft, and they're totally okay. They go to sleep by themselves at night. That to me was magical to see how happy they were and just comparing their lives. They both have been married before. One of them like 3 times, the other one, actually both of them 2 times. I don't know. But they've been married multiple times. And after everything they've gone through, they said the only thing that makes them happiest is going on vacations and like relaxing.
So we both have friends that are like that age. Mm-hmm. And some advice I got from one of my friends that's in her 30s is that, actually she's going to be 40 soon, but she said, Niki, don't stress about getting married in your 20s. And I was like, why? And she said, the ones that you're looking at and you're jealous of, and I'm not putting this on anyone, but she said, these are just facts. You're going to see a wave of people get married, but then you're in your 30s, you're going to see a wave of divorces. And it's like, what? Like, you forget, just because you see people getting married, and even if we got married, like our friends got married, there is a such thing as divorce. And I think we grew up in a household where there wasn't a lot of peace. Everyone was fighting. There was a lot of stress. And I think why I'm in this situation now at 27, instead of feeling like my life's coming together, I think I'm deraveling it because I don't want a divorce. I want a marriage that's going to last. And I'd rather be broken now and have my life a mess now so that way I can stop that fucking familial trauma cycle of codependency and staying when it's toxic. I'm trying so hard to just not have that.
Haven't you found that there's beauty in like saying your life is a mess? Doesn't it in a way feel like it being messy means it has come together? Because what is the statement, my life is together? Who has their life together? What does together actually mean? I think if you want to generalize your life and label it messy, then so be it. But I think life is all about this. If it's just like this, that's boring. You want it like this. You want trial and error. You want to learn. You want to grow. Without discomfort, there's no growth. And without growth, you're just going to keep living the same day every day, stuck in the same pattern, same routine. I think it's a blessing to say that we're going through something that's different this year, because we're going to look back at this year and we're going to be like, I miss it. Mark my word.
You think?
It's chaotic. Our personal lives, we're all over the place.
If I'm not traveling, I'm like not well. Like I've become almost like the way that people get addicted to like working out or like addicted to something when they're going through it. I feel like I'm just like blowing through my money traveling because I just need to be off the ground and in the air, and I need to just be like away from it all, and I need to be in new cities. And it's like
Meryl Streep says, get comfortable being uncomfortable. This is your business. This is your industry. This is everything that goes into what you do. It honestly, I'm surprised we maintained our hometown relationships as long as we did.
Me too.
I'm very surprised, especially during there was a certain part in our career where we just like were never home. I'm very surprised. Like when we shared that apartment in LA.
It took a long time for me to understand the concept of growth. I thought that I really could grow while keeping something going, but I also didn't realize the part that you have to face the hard things. I thought, oh, it could just be easy and I can grow. No. Growth is a thing that not most people do because it's hard. But when you choose the growth journey, you're committing to a lot of intense feelings that could last years until you finally get the light at the end of the tunnel.
I've always wondered, like, you who just built a house and you're moving into it and you're doing it untraditionally. You were going to move in it with somebody and you're not. I was wondering, what do you tell yourself when you see your realtor feeling sorry for you, or
Gabi,
like your interior designer or your ex's parents or our parents? Like, what do you tell yourself to get through? Because that, to me, that feels like a hell of a lot more pressure than I've been through in the past year.
When I closed on this house, I was crying. So it's like the things that should be like, fuck.
Oh, sorry. I did not mean to ask you a question that would make you cry.
So they say hair care is the new skincare, and Kitsch took this to the next level because they have all of the hair care products you could possibly need, including pillows that you sleep on so you don't mess up your hair. Hair care does not stop in the shower, and Kitsch really understands that. They give you products that you can use obviously in the shower, but also outside of the shower.
I use the Kitsch shampoo and conditioner bars. They are magical. My hair feels so soft. Not to mention they're like shower toys. Like it feels so fun, like to play with it in your hair. And the conditioner smells like coconut, and my whole shower just smells so good. They have like essential oils in them that just really make the shower feel like a spa. And my hair has never been softer. I have bleached hair and they're organic and natural, and I just absolutely love using them.
I'm a pillowcase girly because I don't know what I do in my sleep, but without the pillowcase, my hair gets all messed up in the middle of the night. And now I feel like I wake up and my hair is actually like still styled from the day before. Plus, it's really good for your skin because I feel like acne comes from dirty pillowcases.
Yeah, the satin pillowcases help my extensions not mat up. My extensions stay nice and silky.
Kitsch is your one-stop shop for holiday gifting. They have every type of hair product. You could literally give everyone in your family different things from Kitsch because there's just so many things they offer and they're all great quality. Right now, this November, Kitsch is offering 25 to up to 60% off site-wide. And this is only this November, so get on that. All you have to do is go to kitsch.com/twins. Easiest code, can't forget it.
You heard that, up to 60% in discounts on mykitsch.com/twins. mykitsch.com/twins.
Plus, Kitsch has unbelievable flash deals, discounts, so check back often. One more time, that's mykitsch.com/twins for huge holiday discounts.
All November long.
I wanted a house, but I felt like when I was closing on the house, it was just after I made a really hard decision to do it alone. And it should have been a special moment, and it wasn't. And it hurt. And I would never go back
Niki,
to that
it is still
day.
a special experience. You worked your ass off. You deserve the house. You deserve the house.
But
It's the pressures that's telling you.
But I knew making that decision was going to hurt somebody else and their family. But what I told myself, your question was, what did you tell yourself when you saw all that? I told myself, I'm fucking human. I'm human. I can only, sorry, my voice is being so annoying when I cry. I literally hate it. I can only handle so much. And I really kept it together for years. And this house, other people were looking at as a way to fix a problem. And I was seeing it as a way to make a bigger problem and dig your hole deeper. And I just thought, if something's not working or there's a problem, I need to do this alone. So that way I don't make a problem bigger. I didn't want to get too far deep in a hole, and I felt like I already was.
Well, if nobody has told you this in the past year, I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
I know you're probably getting a lot of people saying, I'm sorry for you. I am so sorry for you.
Actually,
no, fuck that. I'm so happy for you.
I have faith restored in humanity because I have actually not gotten that. I've gotten people that are like inspired or say that they're proud of me, especially the comments. It was just a journey. And it's hard.
You're going to make me cry.
It's hard to get a mortgage, like when you're self-employed and you have to like prove all these things. And
digital creators proving income is like the
it was
craziest.
just really hard. I thought I was going to lose the house on top of a relationship. But now, like, it's like I had to make a decision, like, do I live in this place we built together alone, or do I lose this house that I deserve?
I'm glad you got to express that, though.
Yeah. It's just so hard to be called selfish. I think that's why, like you said, like, how do you feel when people are like, oh, I feel sorry for you? I don't think people feel sorry for me. I think people are mad at me. Like, who wants to obliterate their life? Who wants to make it a mess? I wish people, instead of getting mad at me or judged my decisions, would just think to themselves, oh, for someone to make these kinds of decisions, there's clearly something wrong. When you feel like people are like shaming you with the whole house thing, with the process. And I ended up crying because people weren't shaming me. They actually were like, sorry for, no, they just felt, I think they felt bad. Like they were crying. I was crying.
I think we can just summarize that you felt pressure, whether it was people feeling sorry for you or people feeling angry at you. You just felt
pressure is a great
pressure
word.
and uncomfortable.
Great word.
You continue to remain rightfully selfish. It's okay to be selfish sometimes. Don't ever tell yourself that what you did was bad, because there's such thing as bad selfish, and then there's such thing as good selfish, and what you did was good selfish because it's going to better your future in the long run. And sometimes you have to be uncomfortable for a short period of time so you can grow and go into the life path that you want. So you broke a pattern that was making you uncomfortable.
So pressure is a really good word. I think that's something else people feel like at this age, because there was times throughout my entire like house process where I felt that other people not in the relationship wanted the house more than we did. And I think we were sometimes like doing it because some other people wanted us to get a house. And I'm grateful I have it, and I'm glad everything led me here. But I don't know if I would have even, like, it, just so you know, it wasn't my idea to get a house. It wasn't my idea. And it was the thing that was constantly brought up every time I was around these people. The house. And I felt this pit in my stomach. And I just feel like families want something to focus on or something to talk about or something to share. And I hated the feeling of all of that riding on me. And I just wanted to show up at like a get together and just talk about something else. Like I don't want to talk about myself or where I'm at, you know?
I could have told you last Christmas that I had a feeling that would be the last Christmas with you and I in those situations, because we were both coming to a head in our situations before our lives decided to get crazy. We both were like,
It was a month before our lives got crazy.
yes.
You were like, I was like, all right, next Christmas you're going to be married. And you're like, all right, next Christmas you're going to be in a house. And we're like, how is this going to play out?
I remember vividly you came home from like a Christmas gathering somewhere else and you were crying to me. Do you remember that?
Yeah, because it's just like, respectfully, if anyone's watching this who isn't our age, who has like a daughter that's about to be in their 20s, I have advice for you. Please, please, please do not bring up where they're going to college if they're deciding where they're going to college at a family dinner or holiday dinner. Do not bring up their relationship. Don't put the spotlight on somebody and like make them feel like they have to explain themselves and their decisions. Like, I think that is just entirely too much pressure. I think if they bring it up themselves and they're excited about it, roll with it. But if they haven't brought something up, do not be like, spotlight on you. How's that going? And almost interrogate them. Like, that is the number one thing that gave me the throw up feeling. Oh my God, I hated it. It's like, I'm not bringing this up. Why? If it's my life, and if I'm not bringing it up, why are you going to put the spotlight on me and in front of a whole bunch of relatives and have to explain something?
This is a great message to send to anybody who's a parent who has.
That led to this decision I made.
I think with the holidays coming up, I think this is a great message to anybody who is a parent of a nearing 20-year-old or a child in their 20s.
Someone in their 20s, like, don't bring up how's like college. I know you're trying to make conversation, but what if they're having a shit time? What if they're being bullied? Like, what if they have to make up a lie to not seem embarrassed in front of other relatives? Like, if they're not bringing it up and they're not excited about it, bring up the fucking weather. Don't bring up that shit. Like, just something else. Like a movie that's coming out in theaters that you want to see with somebody, or like a sport that they enjoy, or something that you can tell. Just not timeline shit.
I would just be like, how's the casserole today, Mom? Like, just I totally agree with you on this entire conversation.
There's so many other things to talk about. And I felt like at a certain point when I was getting older, in that situation, these people would only look at me as like, all right, what do you got to show us? What do you got to tell us now? What's next? And it's like, I miss the days when I was 22 where I didn't have to talk about my life and we could just enjoy life and talk about other things. But I got it to a certain age where...
But even there, you were getting asked about, how's college? How's YouTube? How's, like, literally...
It wasn't as much pressure, though. Like, we were able to laugh about stupid shit. And then I feel like the older you get, family dinners, I started not wanting to go to them because I'm just like, I can't do it. I will emotionally break. I can't do it.
There's a reason I have not been able to go to family gatherings since breaking off the engagement. I'm like, honestly, this sounds so bad, but I know certain relatives are going to be like, we're going to be like judging. So I, unfortunately, and I hate saying this, I did go through like a few months of like avoiding family interaction, like gatherings, because I just didn't feel like showing up and having to explain myself, one, and two, I thought it looked bad and like I was regressing, even though my career has been progressing. I felt like I would be looked down on for going to a family dinner or gathering with an empty seat next to me.
So that's, love that you're segueing into everything I wanted to touch on. Gabi, I love our parents to death, but there became a point in our 20s where I think mom and dad knew that these relationships would bring us to the house because like we wanted to do everything with these relationships. And I think it was a way to get us to come over. It was like, bring the boyfriends, you guys plus the boyfriends. And same thing with our little brother, Anthony, bring the girlfriend. And I think at one point we got used to just, I think sometimes you don't want to be the single sibling at a dinner or at a holiday or at a wedding.
Be alone than be with someone and
But
feel
I think
alone.
we fell into the trap of, well, I don't want to be the only sibling without a partner there. And then I think on the other end, like in my relationship, he didn't want to go to family things alone. And I think sometimes it's like a crutch. I think sometimes people are like, oh, well, I need you at this event because I can't go alone. Like, what am I going to do? Go alone? And I think that's another reason people stay, because like, well, I it's the courage thing. It's the embarrassment. It's, oh, I can't show up alone. because at a certain age, people judge you if you don't have someone with you. If we make different decisions than our parents, it makes them feel like, well, did I make the wrong decisions?
Did they look down at my decisions?
Okay, guys, so our producer Shannon just explained to us this insane logic behind narcissistic parenting where, oh my God, this is like making things are clicking in my head. She just said that sometimes parents will pressure you, like, are you going to get married? Are you going to have kids? Not because they actually want you to, but because they want to see you make the same choices they did to feel validated in their decision making that they made with their life. So if we make different decisions and we're happy in a different way, they'll think to themselves, did I live right? Did I make the right decisions? And they don't want to feel that. So they want to make sure we live how they live.
That's so crazy. I never thought like a parent, like I never thought like, cause I obviously I've not been a parent, but I never thought that they could look at like their children's life path and be like, if they choose something completely different from me, does that mean they look down on my path and my decisions? Like I never thought of it like that.
I thought this whole time, like, oh, like, is this person bored? Do they want me to have kids just so they have something to do? And then now I'm realizing what she just said. I'm like, oh my God. Or is it just because like they want to feel better about their decisions?
They want to feel validated about their decisions. So they want to see you go through the same process. Wow.
Whoa. Guys, that's really important to be aware of, especially if you're in like a long-term relationship and you're getting all these types of pressures. I think sometimes we think that we're letting people down and that they want us to get married and have kids, but sometimes there's selfish gain in those opinions. And I think that's really important to really keep note of. Something I learned is everything isn't always how it seems. So I have a friend who is going through it in their relationship, and their parent constantly makes them feel like they shouldn't stay with this partner, but also makes them feel like they're screwed if they leave. And that's narcissism. It's just I want you to do well, but not better than me, and don't make different choices than me, and don't get happier than me, but I want something from you. It's like there are so many people out there like that, specifically parents, when you're dating really or you're engaged, I know they say you don't marry the family, but it's really important to see where everybody's intentions are at. And again, you could be in love with someone with horrible parents and you should still marry them if you love them because you're not marrying the parents. But it's important to not let them get to you because they all have different reasons. Maybe they want bragging rights. Maybe they want to show you off. Maybe they want to feel validated in their decision making. Maybe they don't want you to be happier than them. Maybe like you don't fucking know. Maybe they're bored. But everyone at the end of the day thinks about themselves. So I think it's so important to not listen to other people.
I think it's just so important. The big message here in this episode, guys, is focus on you and your goals. Don't look at a timeline. Don't look at your boyfriend's parents. Don't look at your friends and what they're doing for validation, because at the end of the day, everyone's living their own lives. You don't want to be in the middle of your own life, literally middle-aged, and being like, wow, every decision I made up until this point was for other people, and now I feel like it's too late to make decisions for myself, which, by the way, there's no such thing. You can start doing you at any age, but you don't want to create years and years and years of a pattern and boredom because you just wanted to please other people. You want to consistently always make decisions for yourself.
So there's this other thing. So like when you do actually choose to not listen to people that put pressure on you, people will literally like make you sound crazy and like you're going crazy.
Oh my God, Niki, you're literally speaking.
I've been called crazy so many times this year. You're just going crazy. You're going to regret this when you come back to Earth. You're going through a phase.
Niki,
huh?
Do you remember when you told me multiple people, even friendships that I lost because I left, you know who? So you said people were calling me manic. She's going around the world, losing all this weight, bleach blonde hair, broke up with so-and-so and is manic.
I've been called, I'm going through a party phase. I'm promoting a party song. Okay? You become the song as an artist. Don't take that shit too seriously. But I do have a party side, but I'm not partying. I'm going to LA to travel, not to party and fuck around.
I think there's
working.
with what you do, I think partying inspires your art. Like honestly.
I think partying is a great escape, but it's like I'm a healthy person.
Yeah, Niki's very healthy, guys. Even if she makes music videos of parties and songs about parties. I'm telling you right now, like she's a very healthy human being, and I genuinely see she gets very inspired by certain friends and hangouts, and it's not like she's not like going through it in a bad way.
I'm just, especially after the pandemic, this is also important too. there's a delayed adolescence going on within everybody. And I think that like 24-year-olds, I actually see them as 21-year-olds still in my head. And our age group that are 27, I see us as 24, 25. There is this like, everything kind of paused during the pandemic. And now I don't see things the way I used to. Like 27-year-olds looked genuinely older to me when I was younger because they were 27-year-olds.
We went into the pandemic 24. We came out 27.
Yeah. What the fuck? Like literally what? So I think that after the pandemic, after being pent up, don't call me crazy for living my life or for going through a phase and that I'm going to regret it one day. I regret being stuck inside for 2 years in my 20s. I'm not fucking crazy.
And I'm just going to put this out there. The girl that I was in quarantine is not the girl who's not in quarantine. I am not the same girl who I was in quarantine. I definitely should not have committed to an engagement / marriage in quarantine.
We made these big life decisions in a quarantine, Gabi.
That was like that wasn't a sustainable lifestyle for us. We had no choice but to stay home. But when it's not a pandemic, our careers are like, we're traveling all the time. It just like wasn't a reality that we would consistently be able to live. So
it gave us a false sense of reality. The way that there was quarantine relationships is the way that there were quarantine commitments, and then all of a sudden life opened back up and you're like, JK. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to change your mind. And I don't know is an answer. I feel like for a long time, people were like, we need an answer. Nikki, we need an answer. What's going on with the house? When's the closing? When's the walk-in? What's your relationship status? Shut the fuck up.
How's the wedding planning going? You seem to be sitting on your hands. You seem to be working a little more and not planning enough.
And you can, guess what? It's an answer. If you don't have one, don't let people stress you the fuck out. Just say, I don't know. And that's okay. That's literally okay.
And all my brides out there, anyone who is working and is also planning a wedding, I say hire a wedding planner who understands the hustle of owning a business and paying for a wedding.
I did not like the way she talked to you. I heard one phone call. You definitely hire a wedding planner that gives you grace.
And that was the night I put out an ad to look for an assistant.
Whoa. I told Gabi, you need an assistant.
No, Nikki said, I quote, I am going to quit Niki and Gabi if you don't hire an assistant. I didn't want an assistant. I just wanted to take things up in the matters of my own hands because I'm a control freak. I really waited till I really needed an assistant to hire another one. And yeah.
We've been through fucking like crazy shit this year.
What the fuck? We like meditated a little too hard like during New Year's last year or something.
Did you make a manifestations list?
Nikki, I manifested harder than I ever did in my entire life. And then it's like in Freaky Friday when they read that fortune cookie thing and then the world shakes. That happened to us!
Did that happen? Is that why we're going through things at the same time?
It's peaking. Oh my God. That literally happens to us. Like, I picture you and I just manifesting with like a split screen, like at the same time. We don't realize we're saying the same things, lighting the same candles, and then all of a sudden earthquake, and then like... and then our lives went boom.
Ow, this hurt my finger with that ring.
That's literally what I picture. I knew when you were going through your stuff during my stuff, I was like, we manifested a little too
I was
hard.
like on the other side of the country, like in LA, calling, what am I doing? She's on the other side. Nikki, look what just happened. I'm like,
that FaceTime call.
That FaceTime call. Gabi.
What happened? It's sending me.
So I was in LA and I just decided not to come home. And I had FaceTimed Gabi.
And I had just decided not to get married right before.
And it was this iconic FaceTime call.
Iconic FaceTime.
Where we were like, at first we were shook and we were laughing and then we were bawling.
I know. I had just landed from my elopement. I actually went to elope but didn't get married. We broke up on the elopement trip. But that's a whole story of its own. I never even told that. But I got pictures and everything. We just didn't go to the courthouse. Literally, Charles took I have wedding photos in a dress that I have not released anywhere. And the day after, like we landed, well, it was the night before. I'll tell it in another story. That's when we decided not to.
It just didn't feel right. As your twin, like, I was proud. I was proud of you and I was excited for you. But oh my God, was my gut. It was like, I didn't want you to get divorced, Gabi, but I just... giving my unsolicited advice to a new bride to be, that would have like ended our relationship as sisters. Like you would have said, fuck you. Like people don't want to hear it, you know? So I was just trying so hard as maid of honor, Nikki, like, all right, I was going to plan this bachelor trip, even though I didn't think it was going to work low key. I was like, we're going to do all this. And I'm like, oh my God, this is my twin. This hurts. Like, what do I didn't know what to fucking do.
Oh my God, you really didn't like, see, I'm glad you're saying this on a podcast for everyone to hear, because everyone only saw like the rose color. They're looking through rose colored glasses. They saw the Romeo and Juliet bullshit. They saw like all, I mean, not to like
I love
shit
you
on
to death,
that
but
relationship, because I
Gabby,
still love him. But
I love you to death, but me and Alex always say, you do this thing where every relationship you're in, you make it look like a fucking fairy tale online. And it's like,
that's why I decided not to ever put relationships online ever again, because it's a toxic trait of mine, and I want to actually enjoy my relationship offline. So it takes that whole layer of like that facade and branding, because at the end of the day, I rather truly be happy in here than to look like I'm happy out there.
I almost think it goes back to some kind of childhood wound, or was it the Disney movies you watched growing up? I don't know. But you always, Gabby, when you were with your other ex from high school, you made it look like you guys were like a fucking fairy tale. And meanwhile, like you were being like serial cheated on.
I think deep down that wound was always like, I want validation from other people because I'm not getting it from that person. And that's when I made that decision last year. Any person I'm seeing, any person that I'm super happy with, I'm so not putting them online anymore, because I think having that audience and wanting that need for validation, I think that was a trap. Like, I think that was a way to keep a toxic thing going, because I'm like, oh, other people approve, then it must be fine. But deep down, I wasn't approving. So from here on out, anybody listening to this podcast, no matter who I marry, if I ever even do, or if I have a baby, whoever that is going to be with, if I enter any sort of relationship, long-term or partnership, I am not branding it. I am not making vlogs about it. I am not bringing my camera on vacations. I am no longer doing that, because I deserve that peace. I deserve the love. I deserve the romance, which the internet so easily took away from my last one. The whole year before I went public with him, it was amazing.
And the thing is like, even though the internet took that away from us and you, it wasn't your guys' fault. We felt we had to share that, or we didn't have an income anymore. Obviously, you're going to be in survival mode. Like, I gotta live. I gotta make my money. I enjoy what I do. I don't want it taken away from me. So you feel like you're at the edge of a cliff and you just gotta jump off, even if you don't want to. And that's how I felt before every post and upload with all my past relationships, because I felt like relationships, people get invested, people like it. And I thought I was boring without all that. And ironically, I took the relationship aspect out of all my content almost a year ago. This is the most stable I've been. Yeah, I'm going through heartbreak, but I love that I am getting and sustaining views and engagement just being me and not involving a relationship or a lifestyle. I'm not selling a lifestyle. I'm not selling a family. I'm selling me. And that's going to make me happy. The same way that our 18-year-old selves built this amazing business and we didn't know we were doing it. And us 10 years later, we're grateful for it. Our 18-year-old selves, our 38-year-old selves are going to be grateful for our 28-year-old selves for branding ourselves and not a relationship, because I think we're constantly, the one thing we do have is we do think about what we're going to want 10 years from now.
Yep.
And we look out for that. And I think we're going to really be grateful. I don't know where we're going to be, but we're going to be grateful.
Privacy is peace. And no matter who I'm with or what family I have, I think the more privacy, the more peaceful life will be and would be. And you know, that's just the path I'm on right now. It's just privacy, but also continuing to hustle, because this job is my life and I love it so much. I'm married to my job.
I've seen comments saying like, well, you need balance. You shouldn't be married to your job, but also like that's a should. Don't say should have, could have, would have. That's very ego based. Like it respectfully no with sparkles.
This job is our baby.
Respectfully no. Like if there's career women and there's not. But I don't judge anyone that wants to dive into their career, because guess what? That career could bring you your entire life. That's going to bring you balance. It could bring you your husband. It could bring you your wife. It could bring you your kids. It could bring you your city you're supposed to belong in. Follow where your heart feels drawn to, and it'll give you everything. So don't shame anyone wherever their heart is drawing them to. If they're a businesswoman, great. If they're into like working out a lot, don't shame them for working out a lot. Maybe that's their gym is where they're going to meet their life.
You know, Niki, it's funny you brought this up. There are so many actually like holiday Christmas movies that make the girl who hustles and doesn't have a husband or boyfriend make that look so lonely and so sad. And she all of a sudden finds a love in the middle of the Christmas movie. And then she's not the lonely business owner anymore. And I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Where's the story where the girl is in the relationship that she thinks she needs to be in and it doesn't feel right, but then she finds herself and her career and is strong standing on her own.
The movie How to Be Single, like dead ass, there needs to be more movies like that.
And not only that, I know this is like a movie a lot of people make fun of, but the new rendition of Cinderella, the Amazon Prime version, she didn't pick the prince, she picked her career. And like, I love that, like when Camila was Cinderella. And I think there needs to be more holiday movies like that. Now that I know that it's cuffing season, like people like to say, the holiday seasons are coming up and you just want to be cozied up with a boo. If you're not happy in that relationship, you don't have to be cozied up with that boo if they make you unhappy just because you need someone to bring to Christmas dinner or you want someone to cuddle with on a snow day. That's great. But if that person's toxic or not serving you, or if you have other goals, it's okay. It doesn't matter what time of year. If you want to pursue you, do it whenever, any time of the year.
Fucking men.
Yeah.
Literally, like I just wanted to like quote every single thing. So Gabi, coming from someone who was engaged and just like planning a wedding, I just need the honesty. Please be honest with me. There are some people that are more excited for the wedding than the actual marriage. Were you one of them?
When I got engaged, like the week I got engaged, no, I was more excited for the marriage. But throughout the engagement, I wasn't even excited for that day. Like, I felt more excited for events and dresses and getting ready for fashion weeks than the actual day. And I think if I didn't have this career, I might have been tricked into the marriage of wanting the gown and the makeup and the dress.
So even though the internet has made everybody woke and we can share these awesome things and make people not feel alone, I do feel like the internet sometimes is the reason people may feel pressured to have these moments because everybody can keep tabs on people. Like you can just be curious of, oh, that person from high school, I wonder how they're doing. Let's go see. Are they married? Do they have kids? And then you judge them. It's like people know that they almost have to put up an image for people from the past.
And it's weird because you can see a whole stranger's wedding photos now. It's like back in the day, you couldn't see someone you didn't know's wedding photos. Whoa. Everything's accessible. You could see so many family Instagrams and wedding Instagrams, and it makes you play a game of comparison in your head.
I almost wonder what it was like back in like the 80s and 90s when people got married and they just had a photo album and like you had to be in touch, either a friend or a relative, to know that you got married. Like I can't imagine what that felt like, planning a wedding, not for social media.
You put all that money into a wedding just to be in a photo album.
Because it's
in a VHS.
It's just more genuine.
Yeah, I love it.
Or
like a no phone wedding.
I feel like now people like have a hashtag for their wedding, like takes the person's last name and it's like hashtag, like say their last name was like hitched forever. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, people plan a wedding. Like
Happily ever Smith.
Imagine. Long time forever. Their last name's long.
Laugh Leonards.
Oh! Wait. Gabi, I'm
Happily ever Smith and live laugh Leonards. Married to Miller.
Keep going, please. Make a montage.
Hashtag happily ever Smith is so funny.
Hashtag happily ever Smith. Watch me dead ass marry someone with the last name Smith.
Everyone, if you're watching this, please leave funny hashtags in the comments of like last names, like cheesy wedding hashtags, please. Oh my God. Gabi, that's gold.
Really?
But like, it just makes me, I feel like when people are planning weddings, they're thinking of an internet wedding. Oh, is this going to look good for the Instagram, the hashtag? What's our hashtag? Should I marry this person because the hashtag would be bomb?
I know.
Like, what if someone's last name is like Church? Like, married in a church. Oh, I need to marry this person. Their last name's Church. I don't know. I'm just like thinking. There's so many.
The concept of taking a last name, by the way. Can we talk about that? It's like they own you, like the car is in his name.
Why is it the guy's last name?
Yeah, I'm like, huh?
In Latin culture, it's the whole...
But what I will say to the people listening is I'm not trying to shade any of you who are having a beautiful day this year. And I'm like genuinely so happy for you. And I wish I could mentally get there and go through that. I think it's beautiful when you're very happy to do something like that. But
stop! You said it with such a straight face and such like a rush. Like, you know, like Live, Laugh, Leonard. It's like, oh, that's a group of people now. Okay. Got it. Live, Laugh, Leonard. Got it. Like, I think it's beautiful if you know what you want and that is exactly what you want. And if you're very in love, you know, it's beautiful.
But when you're not like in it,
just
like that.
Why would you go into business with someone you don't like? So just make sure you like them, love them. Maybe that'd be good.
Live, laugh, love the Leonard. That's their Christmas card.
I can't breathe. I personally think that the older you get, like your sex life gets better too. I think that you get more confidence in the bedroom and you get more confident. That's another thing. Confidence, freedom, stability within yourself, knowledge. Aren't those
growth?
That's things we all wanted in our early 20s and you finally get them, but now you just have an embarrassing age. And it shouldn't be embarrassing.
You're able to heal your inner child.
Yes.
And learn more about who your inner child is the more you go through as you get older.
There's so many pros that come with getting older, but there's such an ick that comes with it that we just want to normalize. Like there shouldn't be age shaming. We should be excited to get older.
I agree. And I think this is like a really good note to leave this episode off on because the message here isn't that, oh, we can do this, but you can't. No. The message is you are living and leading your own life. Nobody else is. And your growth is at your own pace, your own. Everybody is leading their own life. You are not living your life for somebody else. You're going to really regret that on your deathbed.
It's now or never. You either live your truth now or it'll come out and it could be messier. So you got to just listen to your heart.
And that's what this podcast is for. We just really, really want to give you guys a different perspective, even if it's not like your own. And, just have this nice chit chat like we're best friends on FaceTime. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. I had a really good time expressing myself, giving a different perspective. The grass wasn't greener on the other side, Nikki. And, you can say the same thing. I really appreciated this episode. I feel like it was like a therapy session.
Same. We needed this.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of questions. Even though we haven't done the relationship episode, I think we're just easing and gracing ourselves into this. Because it's been a year, guys. Like we're just trying to give you content and be open and honest while also like having our own sanity on the priority list.
I know. Well, you guys will hear a lot about that in an upcoming episode. We're going to touch base on our breakups and past relationships. And I know that's something that's been very, very requested. We will gracefully ease ourselves into that one because that one's going to be a big one with a lot of tissues and probably stopping the cameras multiple times.
We upload every week. Be sure to subscribe and press the bell if you guys want to be notified every time we post. You don't want to miss it because if we just constantly have shit we want to say to you guys. And you can also listen to this on all streaming platforms where you can listen to any podcast. We're the opposite twins. Just look it up anywhere.
And yeah, that's it for this episode. Make sure to tune in next week. The videos and podcasts are uploading every Tuesday. We're excited to see you guys next time.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.